All right, today we are getting up close and personal. We're talking about the one thing you wear every single day, your skin. We're going to decode some of its most common and, let's be honest, frustrating messages, from breakouts to that mysterious itchy patch.
You know, it's easy to forget, but your skin is a living, breathing barrier. And every single spot, rash, or dry patch, well, that's a new chapter in its story. It is trying to tell you something 24/7.
And that's the real question, isn't it? Because really understanding the why behind what's happening on the surface, that's where the power is. So let's dive in and learn the language.
Okay, first up, a story that I'm sure many of us know all too well, the story of a single pimple. We are getting right into the biology behind a breakout.
Oh man, we've all been there, right? You wake up, you look in the mirror, and there it is. And your mind just starts racing. What did I do wrong? Was it the pizza last night? Did I not wash my face well enough?
Well, the truth is, a pimple is like a perfect storm. It's not just one thing. It's a whole domino effect. It often starts with hormones kicking your oil production into overdrive. That extra oil then teams up with dead skin cells to clog a pore. And that clog? It's basically a perfect breeding ground for bacteria, which then triggers inflammation. And that's the red, angry bump we all know and, well, that we know.
And let's just get this out of the way right now, because this is a huge one. Acne is not a hygiene problem. You can't just scrub it away. In fact, if you get too aggressive with washing, you can actually irritate your skin and make everything worse. The real battle is happening deep inside the pore, not just on the surface.
So, you can actually see the whole journey right here. It all starts with a perfectly normal, happy hair follicle. But when it gets clogged, boom, you get what's called a closed comedone, what we call a whitehead. Now, if that clog opens up to the air and oxidizes, it turns dark, and that's your blackhead. From there, your body's immune system goes on high alert. It rushes inflammatory cells to the site, creating that red bump, the papule. And finally, the troops arrive. White blood cells rush in to fight the bacteria, creating a pustule. What a journey.
So with all that going on, how do we fight back? Well, there are two main game plans. You have topical agents, which work from the outside in. Think of these as your surface-level crew. They help unclog pores and fight bacteria right where they are. Then you have systemic agents, which you take orally. These work from the inside out, tackling things like inflammation or the hormones that are driving the whole process. It's all about finding the right strategy for your skin.
All right, let's switch gears to another really common skin story, eczema. Or more specifically, let's talk about decoding that relentless, maddening itch.
If you've ever dealt with eczema, you know this vicious cycle all too well. Your skin feels incredibly dry, which leads to this unbearable itch. But then, scratching only leads to a rash, and that rash just damages your skin more, which, you guessed it, makes it even drier and itchier. It's just a frustrating loop to be stuck in.
At its very core, eczema is a problem with your skin's barrier function. Okay, imagine your skin cells are like bricks in a wall. In healthy skin, those bricks are held together by a strong mortar made of fats and lipids. This mortar keeps moisture in and keeps irritants out. But with eczema, that mortar is weak. It's got holes in it. So moisture escapes easily, hello dry skin, and irritants can just waltz right in, triggering inflammation and that awful itch.
So managing this really comes down to three key pillars. Number one, moisturize. Then moisturize and then moisturize again. You are literally manually rebuilding that leaky barrier. Number two, you gotta play detective and avoid your personal triggers. For some people, it's harsh soaps or perfumes. For others, it could be a fabric like wool. And number three, when a flare-up does happen, you have to get that inflammation under control with prescribed treatments to break that itch-scratch cycle for good.
Now, this right here, this is a game-changing tip. Why within 3 minutes of a bath? Think about it. Right after a warm shower, your skin is plump with water. Slathering on a good, thick moisturizer right then and there traps that water in. You're basically using the bath water to hydrate your skin from the outside. If you wait too long, all that water just evaporates and it can leave your skin even drier than before you started. It's such a simple tweak, but wow, it makes a huge difference.
All right, our final section. Let's simplify what is probably the single most important product for your skin's long-term health, but also one of the most confusing, sunscreen.
I mean, you walk down the sunscreen aisle and it is just an absolute sensory overload, right? You've got SPF 15, 30, 50, 100. You've got mineral, chemical, water resistant. What does any of it mean? And does it really matter which one you pick? The short answer is
Yes, it matters a lot.
Okay, first you gotta know your enemy. The sun hits us with two main types of harmful rays. You've got UVA rays, just think A for aging. These are the sneaky ones that go deep into the skin, breaking down collagen and causing wrinkles. Then you have UVB rays, think B for burning. These are the ones that hit the surface and give you that painful red sunburn. A good, broad-spectrum sunscreen protects you from both. Next up, how does your sunscreen actually work? Well, there are two types. Physical sunscreens act like a shield or a blocker. They use ingredients like zinc oxide to sit on top of your skin and literally reflect the UV rays away, like a mirror. Then you have chemical sunscreens, which work more like a sponge. They absorb into your skin, and when UV rays hit, they start a chemical reaction that turns those rays into harmless heat. One isn't necessarily better than the other. It really just comes down to which one you like wearing more.
And what about that number, SPF 30? That's the minimum that most dermatologists recommend for daily use. But here is the single biggest mistake people make. SPF is not a measure of how much longer you can stay in the sun. It doesn't mean you can stay out 30 times longer. It's a measure of how much protection you have during your sun exposure. It is not a permission slip to stay outside for hours on end. You've still got to reapply.
Wow, okay, we have covered a ton of ground, from the secret life of a pore to the science of sun protection, so let's boil it all down to the absolute essentials you need to remember. Here it is, your cheat sheet. When you think of acne, remember, it is a complex internal process, not a hygiene failure. So treatment needs to target what's happening underneath. For eczema, the magic word is barrier. Your number one job is to protect and repair that barrier, and that means moisturizing like you mean it. And for sunscreen, just know your A's and B's, aging and burning rays, and choose your shield, whether it's a blocker or an absorber.
Look, your skin is telling you its story every single day. Now that you know how to read it a little better, the only question left is, what's one thing you're going to do differently to help write a better next chapter? Thanks so much for joining me.